Ever heard of a stock going from 23 cents to $55 in a week and then plummeting back down?
Oh, yeah. That's
That's the kind of roller coaster we're talking about today on Investing Talk Podcast.
sound wild.
It is wild.
Okay.
It's the story of Nukkleus, ticker symbol NUKK,
NUKK.
and it has investors both excited and terrified.
I can see why that kind of volatility.
We'll unpack why a CEO's big stock,
Yeah.
by strategic acquisition, and potential delisting issues have everyone talking.
A lot to cover.
Yeah.
What's really intriguing here is how these seemingly separate events actually connect,
Yeah.
influencing how investors view the company and ultimately driving those dramatic swings in the stock price.
Okay, so let's start with that incredible surge.
Okay.
On December 20th, 2024, Nukkleus' CEO, Anastasia Kotayeva, dropped almost $771,084 buying up stock.
Whoa.
What kind of message did that send?
Well, it's a bit like she's putting her money where her mouth is. You know, when a CEO especially makes a big personal investment like that, it often signals strong confidence in the company's future.
Mm-hmm.
Other investors pick up on that, and it can create a buzz.
And buzz, it did.
I bet.
We're talking a 3,600% jump in the stock price
Wow, 3,600.
following her purchase.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just hype, right?
Right.
Nukkleus was also making some big moves strategically.
Right. That surge wasn't solely due to investor sentiment.
Okay.
Nukkleus acquired a 51% controlling stake in Star 26 Capital for $26 million.
$26 million.
And that's where things get really interesting for anyone following the defense sector.
Because Star 26 Capital is a majority shareholder in Rhymon,
Exactly.
which supplies parts for Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system.
That's right.
So we've got Nukkleus going from fintech to defense.
It's a major shift, no doubt.
Huge.
The fact that Nukkleus secured a $10 million private placement
Okay.
above market value to fund this acquisition also speaks volumes.
So investors were willing to pay a premium?
Yeah, suggesting they see potential in this new direction.
So to recap, we've got a CEO demonstrating serious belief in the company, a pivot into a potentially lucrative new market,
Right.
and investors eager to get on board.
Sounds like a recipe for success, wouldn't you say?
I would, but the stock market is rarely that straightforward.
True. Very true.
And this brings us to the other side of the story, the dramatic fall.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the part where the roller coaster plunges back down.
What happened?
Despite all the initial enthusiasm,
Uh-huh.
extreme volatility, and, let's be honest, a lot of speculative trading,
It happens.
sent the stock plummeting back down to around 23.5 cents per share.
Back down to practically nothing.
Almost hard to believe it went from those highs back down to where it started.
It's a roller coaster ride.
Was that just investors getting spooked, or is there something more fundamental at play?
There are a few key factors contributing to this downturn.
Okay.
One of the biggest concerns is the potential delisting of Nukkleus from Nasdaq.
Delisting, that sounds serious.
It is.
What does that mean for the company and its investors?
It means that Nukkleus could be removed from the Nasdaq stock exchange
Oh, wow.
due to compliance issues.
Oh,
They're having trouble meeting minimum bid price requirements and market value thresholds set by Nasdaq.
okay.
This is never a good sign.
So it's not just about the share price going up and down.
Yeah,
There's a risk of the whole stock becoming much harder to trade.
exactly.
Yeah.
And delisting makes it much harder for a company to raise capital,
Right.
which they need to grow.
Of course.
It also shakes investor confidence,
Yeah.
leading to more selling pressure.
On top of that, Nukkleus still has to prove its financials can support this new direction.
Right.
A defense acquisition doesn't magically erase any pre-existing problems.
You're right. We need to look at the company's financial health.
So let's do it.
Nukkleus reported a net loss of $27.25 million over the past year.
Oof.
Their earnings per share sit at a concerning negative 17.80.
So for every share of stock, the company is losing almost $18.
That's right.
Not good.
And their gross profit margin is a weak 4.67%,
What does that tell us?
indicating they're not efficiently converting sales into profit.
So we've gone from a potential high-flying success story to a company facing some very real obstacles.
It's been a wild ride.
What does the future hold for Nukkleus?
It's a company at a crossroads for sure.
Okay.
Their upcoming earnings report on February 24th, 2025.
So February 24th circled on everyone's calendars.
Absolutely.
But what about right now?
Yeah.
What should investors be thinking about as they watch this unfold?
Well, the situation presents a classic investor dilemma.
Okay.
On one hand, the low share price compared to its peak could be tempting.
Right.
Some investors might see this as a bargain, a chance to buy low and potentially reap big rewards if Nukkleus manages to turn things around.
It's that buy low, sell high mentality, right?
That's right.
Trying to time the bottom of the dip.
That's it.
But there's also the huge risk of delisting hanging over everything.
Right.
Plus, those shaky financials mean a turnaround is far from guaranteed.
You-
Nukkleus needs to demonstrate significant improvement to attract and retain investor confidence.
Absolutely.
So potential bargain, but with a whole heap of risk attached.
It's a gamble.
Sounds like Nukkleus needs to get its act together and fast.
Yeah, time is ticking.
Are there any signs that could happen?
There have been some leadership changes recently,
Okay.
which could signal a shift in strategy. A new CEO can bring a fresh perspective and breathe new life into a company.
So there's a glimmer of hope.
There's always hope.
But we need more than just promises.
Absolutely. Actions speak louder than words at this point.
We need to see concrete actions and results.
For sure.
But it's also important to consider the bigger picture.
Right?
What's happening in the overall market can influence individual stocks too.
Absolutely. A rising tide lifts all boats, as they say.
So what's the market outlook?
Analysts are generally optimistic about U.S. equities for 2025,
Okay.
particularly in sectors like technology and small-cap stocks.
And Nukkleus, with its new defense focus, could potentially ride that wave
They could,
if it can overcome its current hurdles.
if they can successfully navigate their challenges, they might be well-positioned to benefit from broader market growth.
But that's a big if.
It is a big if.
A lot of ifs and maybes at this point.
Lots of uncertainty.
It sounds like Nukkleus's future is hanging in the balance.
It truly is. This is what we call a high-risk, high-reward scenario in investing.
Okay, everyone, stay tuned as we continue this deep dive into Nukkleus on Investing Talk podcast.
Looking forward to it.
We'll analyze those financials in more detail,
Okay.
assess their strategic moves,
All right.
and try to make sense of this wild ride.
Should be interesting.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast.
We're digging deeper into the fascinating and frankly wild story of Nukkleus, ticker symbol NUKK.
This is a company that's grabbing attention with its roller coaster stock price,
Yeah.
a CEO stock purchase,
Right, yeah.
a strategic shift to defense,
Ah.
and the threat of delisting. We've talked about that wild ride.
Yeah.
But now let's look beyond the headlines
Okay.
and into Nukkleus's financials. Because as they say, numbers don't lie.
All right. So paint us a picture.
Okay.
What's the financial health of Nukkleus really looking like?
It's a mixed bag, to be honest.
Okay.
Nukkleus has a market cap of $257.99 million.
Okay.
That's not insignificant.
All right.
And suggests the market still sees some value in the company.
Okay. So not a complete disaster then.
Not at all.
All right.
But when we look at their revenue over the last 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
which is only $10.75 million,
Okay.
it's clear they're not generating enough to justify their current valuation,
Right.
especially considering their net loss of $27.25 million during the same period.
So they're spending way more than they're bringing in?
Yeah,
That can't be sustainable.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in their earnings per share,
Okay.
a dismal negative 17.80.
So that means for every share of stock,
Yeah.
the company is losing almost $18. That's right.
Yikes. Their gross profit margin is also worrisome at a meager 4.67%,
Okay. What does that indicate?
indicating they're not efficiently converting sales into profit.
These numbers don't exactly scream financial stability.
I'd agree with that.
Does their move into the defense sector offer any hope?
It's possible.
Okay.
Nukkleus's acquisition of Star 26 Capital and its entry into the defense market could change their financial trajectory,
Okay.
but it all depends on their execution.
Right. That Iron Dome connection is huge.
It is.
But can they turn their financials around fast enough to avoid being delisted?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking, and they need to demonstrate tangible progress.
Mhm.
Their upcoming earnings report on February 24th will be a major test.
So February 24th, big day.
Investors will be looking for signs of improvement,
Okay.
particularly in revenue and profit margins.
So what specifically should investors be watching for in that report?
A few key things.
Okay.
First, any updates on how they're integrating Star 26 Capital?
And how that's impacting their revenue.
Got it.
Second, any signs of cost control measures and efficiency improvements?
Right?
Because they need to address that weak gross profit margin.
Makes sense.
And finally, any guidance they provide on their compliance with Nasdaq's listing requirements?
It sounds like they need to show they have a solid plan and they're executing it effectively.
Exactly. Actions will speak louder than words at this point.
Okay, we've got the financial picture.
Uh-huh.
Let's move on to strategy.
All right.
Nukkleus has made some bold moves recently, especially with that acquisition.
Yeah.
What's your overall take on their direction?
The acquisition of Star 26 Capital is a gamble, but it's a calculated one.
Okay.
The global defense market is projected to grow significantly in the coming years.
Okay.
Driven by geopolitical tensions and increased military spending, Nukkleus is trying to capitalize on that growth
Right.
by getting into a specialized niche supplying components for Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system.
So they're aiming for a slice of a very lucrative pie. Precisely.
Okay.
And it's not just about the Iron Dome.
Right.
This acquisition provides Nukkleus with a foothold in the broader defense industry, opening up a whole range of opportunities.
But isn't it risky to essentially start from scratch in a new industry?
Well,
Especially while dealing with financial trouble and a potential delisting.
there's inherent risk in any strategic shift,
Right.
particularly one as significant as this.
Yeah.
Nukkleus is transitioning from a fintech company to a defense contractor.
This has changed.
This requires developing new expertise, forging new partnerships, and understanding the complexities of a new market.
It's a lot to handle, especially while battling those financial headwinds.
It certainly is,
Yeah.
but it's also an opportunity. If Nukkleus can pull this off, they could become a major player in a rapidly growing market.
So high risk, high reward.
The potential rewards are high, but so are the stakes.
So is this a smart strategic move or a desperate gamble?
It's too early to definitively say. The success of this strategy hinges on several factors.
Like what?
How well they integrate Star 26,
Mm-hmm.
their ability to secure new contracts,
Okay.
and how successfully they navigate the complex regulatory environment of the defense industry.
And of course, they need to address their financial challenges
Right.
and satisfy Nasdaq's listing requirements simultaneously.
You're right. It's a multifaceted situation with no easy answers.
A lot to watch.
Only time will tell if Nukkleus's gamble will pay off.
Well, one thing's for sure, this is a company to watch.
Absolutely.
Their story reminds us that the market is full of surprises.
Yeah.
Even companies facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles can find a way to turn things around.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes investing so captivating.
It is.
It's a constant dance between risk and reward,
Right.
where careful analysis can only take you so far.
It's true.
All right, everyone, we're going to wrap up our deep dive into Nukkleus when we return.
Sounds good.
We'll analyze their future prospects and discuss what investors should consider before making any decisions.
I'm ready.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
We've spent this episode analyzing the ups and downs of Nukkleus, ticker symbol NUKK.
This company's gone from fintech to defense,
Yeah, pretty big shift.
experienced a massive stock surge followed by a dramatic fall,
Quite a roller coaster.
and is now facing the possibility of delisting.
A lot going on.
It's been a roller coaster ride, for sure, filled with bold decisions, financial struggles, and a whole lot of uncertainty.
Definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat.
So let's shift our focus to the future, what lies ahead for Nukkleus.
Ah, the crystal ball question.
Right.
Well, there are several factors to consider when trying to predict Nukkleus's future.
All right, give us the rundown. What should investors be watching for?
As we've discussed, those upcoming earnings reports are crucial.
All right.
February 24th, 2025, mark it on your calendars. This report will offer valuable insight into how Nukkleus is managing its transition to the defense sector, the state of its financial health, and its progress in meeting those Nasdaq listing requirements.
So earnings are a big deal. No surprise there.
Yeah.
What else should we be paying attention to?
It's important to keep an eye on the broader market trends.
Okay.
Analysts are generally optimistic about U.S. equities in 2025, particularly in sectors like technology and small-cap stocks.
And that could potentially work in Nukkleus's favor given its new defense focus.
Exactly. If Nukkleus can capitalize on that wave of market growth, it could give them the momentum they need.
But let's not forget, those financial woes, they're still burning through cash, and the delisting threat is far from gone.
You're absolutely right. Those are serious challenges that can't be ignored. Nukkleus must demonstrate real progress in improving profitability and fulfilling those listing requirements.
Yeah, if they can't, the market might lose faith and the stock could continue its downward slide.
It's a real possibility.
So it's a balancing act. They need to show growth potential while simultaneously getting their financial house in order to grow the banking. How much can we read into the recent leadership changes? Could a new CEO be the answer?
It's certainly possible a new CEO can bring fresh ideas and a new strategy, which could be exactly what Nucleus needs to turn things around.
So a potential shakeup.
We'll have to wait and see what impact the new leadership has on the company's performance.
So what's the bottom line for investors? Is it time to buy, sell, or just hold on tight and see what happens?
As with any investment, the best course of action depends on your individual risk tolerance and investment goals.
Right, different strokes for different folks.
Nucleus presents a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario.
High risk because of the financial instability and the delisting threat, but potentially high reward because of the growth prospects in the defense sector.
That's a great summary if you're risk-averse. Nucleus is probably not the best fit for your portfolio.
Makes sense.
The volatility alone is enough to make even seasoned investors nervous.
But for those who are comfortable with a higher level of risk and who are willing to bet on a turnaround story, Nucleus might be a tempting option.
It could be, but remember, it's crucial to do your research, understand the risks involved, and monitor the company's progress closely.
So we've explored the highs and lows of Nucleus's journey, from stock surges and plunges to their strategic pivot and financial hurdles. What are the key takeaways for our listeners today?
I think the story of Nucleus offers valuable lessons for investors.
Let's hear them.
First, never underestimate the power of market sentiment. News events and even rumors can heavily influence stock prices, sometimes defying logic and underlying fundamentals.
We saw that firsthand for sure. What's the second lesson?
Always dig deeper than the headlines. Don't get swept up in the hype or fear-mongering. Take the time to understand a company's financials, its strategic direction, and the overall market context.
Do your homework before jumping on the bandwagon. What's the final lesson?
Investing is a marathon, not a sprint. There will always be ups and downs, wins and losses.
That's for sure.
The key is to stay informed, remain disciplined, and make investment decisions that align with your long-term goals.
Excellent advice. And that concludes our look at the fascinating and often unpredictable world of Nucleus, ticker symbol NUKK.
It's been quite a ride.
It's a company at a crossroads, and the path they choose will determine their ultimate success or failure.
They'll have to keep watching.
Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with your fellow investors, and leave a comment below. We appreciate your thoughts and insights. Until next time, happy investing.